What's happening, Hardscapers? This is episode 321 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And on today's episode, I did an Instagram live. We just went in on some marketing topics, how you can get started with those first few clients, how I started my business that same way, learning how to hardscape and where that went from there to getting my first few clients, as well as what I'm focusing in right now on my business for projects coming in and how I have actually done that with Facebook ads to bring in more projects during this season. But before we get into this, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cycle CPA. If you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. Patio SEO has hopped on board as a sponsor, and they are a leading marketing and brand building company in the hardscape industry. And if you don't know, this company is run by James Reed. We've had him on the podcast a couple of times, some of our more popular episodes, and he owns hardscape businesses across the country. And now you can have access to the same in-house marketing team that he has access to at patioseo.com. So if you're looking for a killer website, targeted ads, or data-driven strategies to grow, check them out at patioseo.com. August 19th to the 20th, Knowledge Tree Consulting is having another event at Koivik. This event is in Toronto. Koivik is in Milton. I went to their event last year with Earthscape. It was awesome. I can't recommend this enough. There's going to be a link in the show notes for you to sign up for it and get 50% off your tickets today. If you're planning to go to Hardscape North America in Louisville, Kentucky, October 22nd to the 24th, you can use promo code VIPHTH to sign up, get 50% off your registration. That also gives us a little bit of a kickback and helps us here at the How to Hardscape podcast. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. What's up, everyone? Coming in. How's everyone doing this Sunday evening? Business. How is business this season so far? Well into July, we have hit, is this the halfway point for us? April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. We're coming up to the halfway point in our season. Juan Perez, hi, my friend. How are you doing today? I'm doing just fine. Just getting the final things done before my week starts again tomorrow, and getting some more projects in the ground. Hope you're doing well there, Juan. How's everyone else doing this weekend, this Sunday? How is your week looking? What are you working on this week? We have got a little bit of cleanup to do tomorrow on a project, and then moving on to a small walkway, and then a lift and relay, and then a new patio. We've got lots going on that thankfully came in this past week or so. And we are moving along. Lots of leads coming in, especially with one of our Facebook ads that have gone out there that I started about 2 weeks ago in terms of lift and relay work, really focusing on smaller projects to fill holes and to get some work in the ground as soon as possible here. But just to be able to do small projects while still being able to support our How to Hardscape headquarters software members there. I've found that the longer projects they don't provide me the time with being able to be there for our users. It looks a little bit worse for me to be in my truck and supporting Hardscape headquarters users multiple times on a job that might be 3 weeks, whereas opposed to if I do a 3-day project, a 2-day project, it doesn't look as bad me being in the truck and helping when I need to with our users. And so for the most part, I've been this year especially focusing in on those smaller projects. Juan Perez says, I need some leads for my company, my friend. I do hardscaping as well as your friend, and you need some work. So we can definitely talk about marketing. I've gone in on it. If you listen to the How to Hardscape podcast, I've gone on this topic quite a bit, and it is something that I love to talk about. Delaware, yep. So what's really worked well for me this year is to, at least for paid ads, Facebook especially has been working well. Google ads, not as much. And I've kind of pushed that on the back burner for the most part. If I do spend money, it's mostly Facebook. That's just because we have more than enough video content that is very specific to problems that a client might be having that we can touch on in those videos. So for example, with a lift and relay project, there's a specific problem that somebody who stumbles across our ad through our targeting, of course, that they need fixed. It's not a problem like, is it a brand new design build project? Is it a patio? There's a specific problem that somebody has when they need a lift and relay done. Think front steps. That's a really good one, where they might have front steps crumbling, falling apart, that need to be replaced. Front steps are great because that is literally a tripping hazard for anybody going into the house, out of the house. And to be able to show that on a video and show what you can do in that process to be able to alleviate that problem for them, to solve that problem for them. A front step ad is awesome because it also can come with upsells in terms of a front walkway. And what I've found from the past 3-4 years now of doing those smaller projects, clients are now reaching out to me, years later, but it's still a client base that reaches out to me. And now we're going to be doing a backyard patio for a previous client that comes with steps as well. So I would say don't just focus in on, especially when you're first starting out or trying to get work in the ground, don't just focus in on trying to get those large projects, because those come with a higher price tag in terms of ad spend to get. Now that's a percentage of jobs still. Like, you should be around 2 to 3% ad spend for a project. But when you're first starting out, you might be short on capital. So when you are short on capital, that smaller ad spend really works to get those smaller projects in the ground, cash flow going, get money into the business. And then you're building a client base that in the future will reach out to you. And it has worked really well for me, having been in business for as long as I've been, that people are now reaching out to me that have done projects in the past that, hey, now they want a new patio in the backyard, or now they want a walkway done, or so on and so forth. So that ad spend helps in the immediate as well as in the future, as long as you do a good job for those clients as well. JFS Property Care, thanks for tuning in there. Is it smart to sell set price packages? I'm working in Arizona. I don't believe so. Every project is very different. So set prices are very difficult to do in our industry with how custom it is. And especially with all the, choices of stone. I don't even like doing an ad that says prices starting at, because it sets up, like, if you do prices starting at, you are you're likely pricing it very low to be able to get that lead in the door. And then it's a kind of a bait and switch there where you're saying, oh, well, prices starting at is for a very simple project where we don't have to do any cuts and we don't have to, it's using this specific stone, but now you want to use this stone, and that's going to come up in terms of cost. And you also want to do curves and so on and so forth here. When it comes to lift and relay work, all I do is I know typically, because I've done so many, where a project's going to be priced. So I just ask for a photo from the client and I let them know, hey, based on your square footage there, you're likely going to fall into this range. Would you want to schedule a consultation to discuss it further and get you a quote for that project? Now, one thing I've been struggling with is when I provide that, and I very clearly and explicitly say it's a estimate. It's an estimated range for your project based on what we've done in the past. If you want a quote, we'd have to schedule an in-person consultations. I still have a few people saying, thank you for your quote, or I don't know how you're going to quote my project from a photo, so we're not going to send a photo. At the end of the day, that's fine. They're likely not a client that would fit for us anyways if they're not willing to send us a photo before we actually spend our time and go out there on site. So it does save me time if that was never a client for us in the first place, if they weren't willing to send a photo in the first place. So it's never fun to get those emails where a client or a potential client just doesn't want to send a photo in and wants to get an in-person consultation right away. It's just not the way we work. It's not the way our sales process works. We've spent lots of time in the past going to an in-person consultation and realizing it's not a job that we would want to take on or do. And I just chalk it up to that at this point, especially with the work that we've got coming in. We're in a good position to be able to do so. So that's how I look at it. Like I said, lift and relay prices are fairly easy to kick around, to throw around like a square footage amount, because it's not custom. It's coming up and it's going back down. It's not custom work. What's there? The more difficult things would be if it is a very curved project, or there is, say, a circle kit in there. That gets a little bit more difficult to actually, provide a better estimate for them. But we still try to set that conversation up. It doesn't make sense for a lift and relay project to ask them what their budget is, because it's not something that is custom. Whereas a design build, we ask for a budget or what they would want out of their space, and then provide them with that range to let them know, hey, this is likely what a project like this is going to cost before we get out there. Once again, that's an estimate. It is not a quote. If you want a quote, we're happy to schedule an in-person consultation and get you a quote for that work. So that just goes into our process in how we're going about our sales process. We do not do price packages because of that customization of it. Now, once again, going back to that lift and relay work, we do have specific packages for our lift and relay work. It helps us upsell. So, for example, we have 3 packages when it comes in lift and relay work. We have a basic lift and relay. It's going to be the most economical package for them. That's a simple lift the pavers, clean them, remove the 1-inch bedding layer because it usually has organic materials in it, weeds, establishing roots in it. So we want to get rid of that. Bring in a new bring in a new 1-inch bedding layer, put the pavers back down, polymeric sand, edge restraint. That is our basic lift and relay package. Our next package is replacing the base. In that sense, we are able to put our warranty on that work because we have now replaced that base. That base is on us, and our workmanship warranty is on that project now. Nobody ever goes for that. The reason is because our third package would be, let's just do a new project. It doesn't make sense for us to, unless it is a project that within the past few years has failed, and the pavers are still really good. And unfortunately, we've seen quite a bit of that in the past few years. And the base has to come out at that point. If it's failing within the first few years, it's a base issue typically, and we can reuse the pavers if they're in good shape if they want to. That being said, our third package is new project. We're already replacing the base. For $5 a square foot more, we can bring in new pavers for you, update the space, maybe even give it a different design than what you already have in place there. So that's how our lift and relay sales packages go. We don't associate dollar amounts to those until we provide them a quote. So we let them know, this is what it would cost for package A, this is what it would cost for package B, and this is what it would cost for package C. And it really helps to provide that upsell within that, and to be able to provide the client with options that they can then choose the best option for them and what they think for their project. We want to take a break from today's episode to talk about marketing. Are you looking to take your hardscape business to the next level? Well, this is brought to you by Patio SEO, the leading marketing and brand building company in the hardscape industry. And if you don't know, this company is run by James Reed, who owns multiple hardscape businesses across the country. And here's the kicker. you're not just getting access to any team. You're getting access to the very team that helped grow James's own companies, plus hundreds of others in the industry. Whether you need a killer website, targeted ads, or data-driven strategies to grow, Patio SEO has got you covered. They've been in your shoes and know exactly what works. We've had James Reed on the podcast a couple of times, and they're some of our more popular episodes, talking about branding, talking about how he's built companies across the country. And with that, he needs lots of leads, which means he's had to perfect his branding and marketing. And now you can have access to that same in-house team that he has access to for his own hardscape company. So if you're ready to build your brand and see some serious growth, check them out at patioseo.com. That's patioseo.com, or follow James on Instagram at road to 100ms. That's road to 100ms. Let's get your business the attention it deserves. Now back to the episode. JFS Property Care, the big jobs aren't all they are cracked up to be. It's good to have mix of project size. Absolutely it is. I always hit my production goals on small projects. It's a lot easier to do. They're a lot more profitable, especially the lift and relay work where there's almost no material cost of goods in that. Labor is a large portion of it, and then it's gross profit at the end of that project. So you can definitely, there's a few things with those smaller projects. One, especially if you're starting out, small portfolio work to help you lead up to those larger projects. 2, cash flow in and out, money comes in, you're good. 3, reviews. You can get more reviews with smaller projects, servicing more clients. And 4, being that what we already talked about, you then have the ability for future projects for that client. And especially what I'm experiencing this year, I've gotten a lot of clients reach out from 2, 3, even 4 years ago for one client that said, hey, we want to do our backyard. You did such a great job with our front walkway, lift and relay. We're looking to do a backyard patio and design build space. So can we get that in the schedule? And you've already got good what's the word I'm looking for? Good reputation with that client, and they know you do good work, so that's a very easy sell to do in that future. So just building that client list really goes a long way, and those smaller projects give you more volume to be able to do so. And not to mention word of mouth. I've also got a client that I did a small wall repair at the beginning of the year. They now want to do their front walkway and steps, and they referred me to another one of their friends that I did their front walkway lift and relay, and now they want to do their side walkway. So it's all about volume. It's all about, especially when it comes to marketing spend, knowing what's the best bang for your buck, and also your position. Where are you in terms of your business growth, your business goals? Because you can really sink a lot of money into ads if you're going after those larger projects. And once again, like I said, it comes down to percentage of revenue that those ads bring in. If you are aiming for those $100,000 projects plus, you're going to spend a lot more money to get those in terms of ad spend, but it's still a small percentage of what that job actually is in terms of that total revenue. As long as you're quoting the projects correctly and you are accounting for all of your business expenses, How to Hardscape Headquarters software can help you with that by creating a budget, by estimating from that budget to know that you are recovering all of your costs, all of your overhead costs, and your business goals as well in the future. So that is, and then if you're earlier in your business and you just need that cash flow, those smaller projects, like I said, lift and relay, and being able to hit those pain points in your advertisement. The video is always best. I have been filming for at least my YouTube videos since 2021. So I have Actually, we just passed the 4-year mark on my YouTube channel, and I've got tons of video that I can cut to create videos on lift and relays and the pain points and the problems. I can cut videos for step repairs, so redoing a front walkway, front entrance, front steps. I can do full design build advertisements as well, and gas fire features, lighting. I've filmed everything, so now I've got this bank in this library that I can just pull from and create ads however I want. I always have my face in the ads so that potential clients see who they're going to be dealing with, and then knowing what is your company's selling point. What is your unique selling proposition? For me, I'm an owner operator. I deal with that client from the consult to the sales to the design, if there is a design, to on-site building it for them. That's my unique selling proposition, and that's what I hit on in the actual video for my clients specifically, so that they know that they're only going to be dealing with me throughout the process. I am not the business owner that hands it off to the salesperson to do the consult, that then hands it off to the designer to do the design, that then hands it off to a project manager that manages the project, who then you have a foreman in the field. So all of that is a unique selling proposition. Now, for a larger business that does have those different, it does have a designer, maybe a salesperson, or maybe the designer is the salesperson and then does have a project manager, their unique selling proposition is that they have specialists in each of these different areas that are professionals in what they specifically do. So they hit on that as their unique selling proposition, as well as anything else that you can come up with for your business and for that. Best way... Ahmad says, best way to land first clients when you still don't have brand authority, reputation, even small projects. Tell anybody and everybody that you know that you have a business, are starting your business. Get a website going immediately. A big thing for SEO is how old a website is. So the sooner that you can do that, the better. Even if it is just a landing page, eventually you want to build out different pages for each of your services, and even more content beyond that, articles. What we've done is we've taken each of our YouTube videos, we have transcribed them and made them into blog posts with that YouTube video embedded in that blog post. That allows us to hit on different keywords for each of those articles or blog posts, whatever you want to call them. It's also good for Google to be able to see that we're constantly updating our website. And that's more of a long-term play, but like I said, it's good to get that going. Google My Business, get that going. But when it comes to trying to land those first few clients, anybody and everybody that you know, let them know that you are starting a business, have a business. See if they have anybody that they know that might need something done at their house, even if it is a small project. If you do have some small amount of money, learn about Facebook ads and get that ball rolling to be able to show photos. I never use somebody else's photos that's not your work, but what you can do is you can go to your supplier, and they usually have some sort of outdoor area, and you can take close-ups of caps that are installed with lighting underneath, or just the demo areas, the display racks of pavers, and use those to be able to advertise something, that you have some sort of visual of work that you can do, and show your face and walk around the outdoor demo area, show your face and talk about the different display products and everything that you can do for your clients. First few clients are tough, but it only gets easier from there as long as you do good work and you do what you say you're going to do for your clients. Because each client that you do land, ask them for a review, ask them if they know anybody else that is looking for projects to take on. And actually the best thing that helped me when I was first starting was I reached out to, and I had already known people because I worked for a supplier, but reach out to other contractors in our industry around you and ask them, hey, if you have any small projects, I'm just starting out, I would love to take them on. There's larger companies that get smaller leads that just hand them off because they're not the projects that they want to do. So that is a great way to get those smaller projects and not have to spend anything. Just create that relationship, network with people around you. In addition to that, network with complementary service contractors. Think asphalt companies. They always need front walkways lifted and relayed or replaced. And if you get in good with one of their salespeople or the company itself, they will hand off those leads to you. Because what they do, at least in our area, they come in, they tear out the asphalt, they re-prepare the base, and then they let it sit for a month. And within that month is when you come in and you do that front walkway. Because if that front walkway has settled quite a bit, especially with that asphalt, that old asphalt, that front walkway needs to come up to grade. So whether it's a lift and relay, whether it is a brand new walkway that you can upsell that client to, and that comes with steps as well. Also, you can upsell them into an overlay for their porch. There's lots of opportunities with that. Concrete companies that don't do interlock, same thing. Driveway banding, so going up the sides of the driveway. Realtors, if you want to. I haven't had great experiences with that myself. Home inspectors is another one. So there's lots of people that you can just start to reach out to, create that network, and let them know that you're in business, and that kind of gets the ball rolling for you there. We want to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, Cycle CPA. It's crucial to review your financial statements on a monthly basis so you can diagnose areas for improving your business's financial health early before they become significant issues. Too many contractors wait until the end of the year to review their financials as they file taxes, when it's often too late to take action to change the outcome. Cycle CPA not only handles bookkeeping and taxes, but they also ensure that you're armed with financial data on a monthly basis to make key business decisions. They offer benchmarking, cash flow forecasting, and assistance in developing targets for financial metrics. With their team of accountants specialized in the hardscape and landscape industry, they currently work with hundreds of companies in this field. Visit cyclecpa.com, and for $200 off, mention the How to Hardscape podcast. Now back to our episode. Alex, where did you start learning to hardscape? I started back in 2007, I want to say. I worked for a supplier for about 7 years. I learned quite a bit there. Literally within my first week or two, they were redoing their outdoor demo display. And they had a contractor do that, but I came in as a laborer to help them on the weekend, and even during the week, just running them material to help out. And I just learned literally from week 1 or week 2 how to install projects. And then my supplier was great. My managers were great. They provided me with literature to read up on, so that if somebody ever did come in, especially homeowners, I could actually speak the language. I could tell them what to do, what not to do. And then what that led to was people wanting me to do their project. So I took on some small side projects for especially people that I knew or people of other people that I knew. And that kind of just snowballed. Eventually, it just made sense to start the business rather than continue to work there. So that's how I learned how to hardscape on the How to Hardscape podcast. And then eventually, after starting my business, that's where How to Hardscape came in. And I wanted to pass down everything I knew. So that was in terms of articles to start. We have about 150 articles on our website now on How to Hardscape. Everything from literally how to hardscape, interlock installation, in every step of the process in terms of interlock installation, segmental retaining wall installation, to tools, tool reviews, things like that on the website. So there's tons of content there. Then we started the podcast to get other hardscapers on the show, industry leaders, experts, consultants, to talk more about the business side of things on the How to Hardscape podcast. And then I started the YouTube channel to transition from the more written form to the more visual form. So I Am a Hardscaper is the YouTube channel with all the visual side of things and education in installing projects. That was always the game plan. It's a lot to take on and to do, so there was always going to be a evolution of this sort of thing. How to Hardscape on YouTube is just the podcast. There's some other videos there, but the I Am a Hardscaper YouTube channel is more just me in the field and more of a personal brand rather than How to Hardscape, which would be more so of a community entity, so to speak there. But thank you for that question. JFS, Property Care. Facebook ads and local town pages helped me get the name out locally. Yes, Facebook group pages that are neighborhoods that you want to work in, or especially that you live in, are great ways to get the word out there. I've found that has become a little bit more crowded than it was, say, 5-7 years ago. Now, whenever I see a post of somebody asking for somebody who does a patio or something like that, there's like 15 other contractors that flood their information in those comments. So what I do is about once, twice a year, I'll just throw in a photo of one of our projects and I'll just say, this is a great patio with a fire feature, blah, 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 in the caption. I won't say like, this is my business. It's not promotion for myself. Then if somebody asks, and they have asked, hey, who did the project for you? I can let them know, and they can reach out to me and we can start that conversation there. Because a lot of the group pages don't allow the businesses to promote, only on specific days. But then on those specific days, you just get tons of contractors putting their information in there, not just hardscapers, landscapers, but all sorts of contractors. So there's always a way around those sort of things to kind of get your name out there in a more organic way. GFS Property Care. Suppliers have leftover products all the time. Get them cheap and do a project at your own home or family's home. Gets your feet wet and you get project pictures. That's a great way to do it. I worked at a supplier for a number of years. We always had inexpensive materials that you can buy. If it is a newer supplier and they're trying to get contractors that are loyal to them, you might even get some product for free or very cheap if you are trying to establish that relationship with them. In my experience, even just going into our suppliers, they've told me, hey, we already have tons of contractors that we deal with, that we work with. We're not giving away referrals to anybody that comes in. When I relocated my business, I went to all the suppliers around me, probably about 10, and only one showed the slightest amount of interest in me and my business, even though I had been in business for a few years at the time and been in the industry for 10 plus years. They brushed me off. They didn't care one bit and were not willing to help. So it's going to be different in every single sort of region, and especially the suppliers that you actually talk to. Let's see. Ahmad says, I already have one project under my belt that I did on my home and a before after video. Working under a company currently, but can't use their results for ads. Definitely, yeah. And now I know who I'm talking to there, Ahmad. So you're working for what I think is a great guy. He's been on the How to Hardscape podcast. And just keep doing what you're doing, learning, and eventually you'll be able to, when you are ready and to start your own business, to be able to use what I talked about, what JFS has talked about here, to get that ball rolling. The first 3 years are difficult, and it all comes down to networking at the end of the day. Like I said, those complimentary service contractors, they are happy to find somebody who is willing to do and come in, especially with their schedule that works with their schedule or their client's schedule, to do those front walkways, do those smaller projects. That gets the cash flow going, and then you can work on, eventually word of mouth will come with a project that is larger than those projects that you started your business with. And that's kind of that tipping point that you get to in your business, where a client reaches out and they want a full design build project, and you want to deliver for that client, do the best work you possibly can for that client, so that you can use that in your portfolio and get word of mouth leads from that client. What I did with one of my first design build projects, it was small, but the client wanted a patio, a gas fire feature, a retaining wall, seat wall. It was a small area, but we made use of the space functionally and in the design, and it looked beautiful. I show it quite a bit in our YouTube videos, but we had extended their budget way past the point that they were already comfortable with, but they wanted everything that we're talking about, except the lighting. The lighting was the one thing that they were willing to not do. So what I did for them was I installed the lighting on my dime. In trade for being able to bring any client to their backyard that I want at any time. They were happy to do that for me. And the reason why I did that is because it's 2 minutes from my supplier. So literally, when I do a design build project, I always meet my client at my supplier to look at the product, to touch the product, to feel the product, to choose the right product that works best for them. I guide them along that whole process so that they're not choosing a product that I don't like installing for the most part, or at least I talk to them about the pros and cons. So for example, wet cast versus dry cast, and lead them to the right product, and face mix versus through mix. And then I say, hey, I've got a project just 2 minutes down the road. You want to go take a look at it? And it's sold me way multiples times more than what that lighting actually cost me to install for them. So that project itself has helped me sell at least, I'm going to say 7 at the top of my head, projects that were full design build. The most recent one being that porcelain project that we did last year, which was a porcelain patio, 500 square feet, a gas fire feature, a seat wall, 14 steps going up the side of the house, plus 3 retaining walls going up the side of the house. That was a larger project for us to take on. And that project in and of itself would have been worth doing that lighting for that client on my dime. So just being smart with what decisions you make, and for what clients as well that you are making those decisions there, because it also has to be the right client. Let's say JFS says, that's awesome, and Facebook takes time to get traction. The more people see the logo and name, the more they will remember. It may not get all the likes and comments, but people see it. Yep. Just to give some sort of background on my Facebook ads, I don't know if I've done much full design build ads this year, but for my lift and relay ads, I spend $25 a day, and I get about 2 to 3 leads a day. And of those 2 to 3 leads, I get probably one really good one. So $25 a day, one really good lead, and that's like minimum $1,500. So if you are serious about, and you have a little bit of capital to spend on ads, that's just the economics of that. $25 leads to a $1,500 project, very small project, like 100 square foot lift and relay. And then that, as I've said throughout this, that $1,500, I don't have a calculator handy because I'm on my phone, but $25 of $1,500, 150 would be 10%, so 75 would be 5%. It's like less than 2%, maybe 2% of that revenue, which is perfect. That's kind of where I want to be, that 2 to 3% range. That's what those ads lead to. So it's not just any lift and relay ad that gets thrown on there. Like I said, it's me in front of the camera talking about the problem. In this most recent ad that I did, I actually showed a patio that has low spots and very, very distinguished low spots and high spots. And then I tilted the video to show it sinking as I said the word sinking. So that's like a visual like capture, like seeing the screen actual sinking as I'm saying sinking kind of draws some people in, sort of the hook, if you would say, in that. So that specific ad has been doing well for me there. Hey, are you planning to attend HNA Hardscape North America October 22nd to the 24th in Louisville, Kentucky? Well, you can use our promo code VIPHTH to get 50% off your tickets, or you can click the link in the show notes below to register for this. I've gone the past 2 years. It is awesome. A massive trade show along with the Equip Exposition with more than 1,000 exhibits, 42,000 square feet hardscape house, as well as a 30+ acre outdoor demo yard that you can demo equipment. There's the HNA Awards ceremony. There's lots of educational sessions throughout the day, and there's more than enough events before and after the trade show itself. I've always enjoyed my time. I'll see you there. Use the code VIPHTH to get 50% off your tickets and register sooner rather than later, because tickets do increase leading up to the show. Alex, awesome. That was very helpful. Sounds like what I did when I went to Arizona. Nice. Ahmad says, that's reassuring. I know I got views, but not many inquiries or likes. Yeah, it all takes time, especially if you're just doing organic. It'll take a lot of time. I haven't done much with Instagram, to be honest, in terms of content. I went the more YouTube route, and YouTube, like I said, July 1st, 2021 was when I started my YouTube channel. I didn't see leads coming in from that for 2.5 years. And then I've got my first lead. So that's 2.5 years of every single week posting a long form video that was heavily edited, and 2.5 years, 150, probably 120 videos before I actually got a lead from it. Now the YouTube channel brings in leads. This year, not as much, but I know that this year has been a softer year for our market, and I know people are pushing off doing a full design build project in our market specifically. Another reason why we've more so focused on those smaller projects, those lift and relay projects, the projects that solve a specific pain point, pavers settling, tripping hazards, steps falling apart. So things that people are more willing to get fixed because there's a very specific problem that could also lead to a lawsuit or somebody tripping and falling and hurting themselves, as opposed to somebody in our current market, in our current economy, not wanting to spend and maybe pushing that project down the road a little bit to save up for it based on where we're currently at. So it's going to be different everywhere, regional, especially Canada versus the US in terms of that. But that's kind of what I've seen. It's what I've talked to other contractors have seen in our market, and especially, and then comparing that to markets where you're not experiencing that same sort of thing. So all goes back to what I'm doing in my business, what I am specifically focusing on in my business for getting projects done there. E_E Hardscapes LLC. Hello to you as well. How's everybody doing though? How is your year going? How are you doing? What is your market looking like? I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I talked about it a few times. It has been a year of either contractors are seeing the market very slow for them, or it's been a year where contractors are doing really, really well. And like I said, it's all regional based. And it's all based on also where you are at as a business and the branding that you've done, the marketing channels that you've invested in. That's why I always say start with that website as soon as possible. Build on it when you can. Take that time. A website is going to do you very well in the future. It's not a short-term fix, but the sooner you have some sort of web presence, the sooner that's going to pay off for you. Because if you just kick that can down the road, then you're just, once again, kicking down that long-term sort of lead flow through your website down that road as well. So as soon as you can, get that website going. As soon as you can, Google My Business going, get those reviews coming in, and get that ball rolling. JFS Property Care. We are doing really well this season, booked out for the season here. That's amazing. Wow, that's really, really great. Like I said, I've talked to contractors that have the same thing, booked out for the season. I've talked to contractors who are kind of week to week at this point and looking to get leads in. It does come down to kind of what I just touched on there, but that is awesome there, JFS. The pools have been helping us put big time project wise. Put up big time project wise. Definitely, that would definitely do it there. The pools, how the pool install has been going there, JFS. How much do you think it affects the success of the branding if you mix construction with hardscape, or being very strict on branding as a hardscape only company? You're going to get different answers from this from different people. Me specifically, I think that it's better to be specific. Otherwise, you come across as a handyman. And not that a handyman is bad, but it's not specific to a client and their needs. So being a jack of all trades doesn't appeal to, it appeals to a wider audience, but it doesn't go deep. As opposed to if you are the expert in hardscaping and you brand for that, somebody who needs hardscaping knows who they need to reach out to, knows that you do it. As opposed to somebody who does hardscaping, does interior work, and so on. I see those as it would be best to just have a different business. Doesn't even need to be a business entity. It can be done under the same business, but have a different page for each of those. So for your online presence and for your website, somebody who's done a really good job of this recently, I want to say is, or at least from what I've seen recently, is Seal It Group. Seal It Group started as, and maybe Alex can correct me, but they started as lift and relay, pressure washing, sealing, and they got into design build work. So now they have Axia design build, I want to say. And so they literally started a different page for that and everything, so that they have those two differentiations in their business and their brand as well. Especially for a name like Seal It Group, it comes across as somebody who specifically does sealing. But as soon as they start taking on that design work, it becomes a completely different branding solution for that specific company. So I do think it's really important to go deep, choose a niche, and go deep into that, as opposed to being broad and appealing to as many people as possible for your services there. Not that you can't do them, and it would be totally fine if you did it all, but in terms of a branding and marketing aspect, it would be best to have them separated and differentiated. Knowledge Tree Consulting, George and Peter of Oriole Landscaping. You've heard me talk about them on previous episodes. They have an event coming up August 19th to the 20th. This is going to be a behind-the-scenes tour of Koivik, a second-generation multi-division firm known for operational excellence and exceptional results. I went to a Knowledge Tree Consulting event last year. That was with Earthscape. You've heard me have Sam Bauman on from that business, and this was a really great event. I cannot recommend this enough. The first day, there's going to be a welcome reception and an optional networking dinner. The next day, early in the morning, departing for Koivik, doing the facility tour, which includes the shop, soil production, specimen tree nursery, office operations, and client experience. So you rotate through those different areas. And then after that facility tour, back at the hotel, there's going to be strategy sessions and then an evening dinner. This is in Toronto. The shop is in Milton. And there's going to be a link in the show notes for you to get 50% off your tickets through the How to Hardscape podcast. So click that link, learn more about that event, and register today. JFS, really well. Long road to get into. So the pool builds really well. Long road to get into, but glad we did it. It leads to a lot more design build projects as well, which is what we are really trying to focus on. That's awesome. Great to hear that that's going good for you. And you're slapping those pools in the ground. Thank you to thank you to anybody and everybody that joined here and contributed to the discussion. If you don't know, How to Hardscape podcast is where you'll be able to find this How to Hardscape podcast. Every Monday we release an episode. If you don't know, we also I've touched on How to Hardscape website, How to Hardscape podcast. I've talked about our YouTube channel, I Am a Hardscaper. If you ever are in need, the one product that we have at How to Hardscape is I've always wanted to just have everything accessible, anything that you would need How to Hardscape wise, installation based, business based, to be absolutely out there. Nobody needs to pay for it. The How to Hardscape podcast is free. It's always going to be free. We do have great supporters in terms of our partners and sponsors on the show. But the website's always going to be free, and we do have a free budgeting and estimating course there. It's an hour long that gets into overhead and how to recover overhead, the different methods to recover overhead, my favorite method to recover overhead, and all that. It's a completely free course, but the one product that we do have is the How to Hardscape headquarters software. So if you need something for budgeting, estimating, job costing, time tracking, scheduling, courses that you can assign to your employees. So you have access to our interlock installation course. It's 3 hours long. Segmental retaining wall course. It's 3 hours long. At the end of those courses, there are tests that give you a certificate of completion. We have a gas fire feature installation course. We have a hardscape lighting installation course or outdoor lighting installation course. We have 3 courses on budgeting, estimating, and knowing your numbers that go even deeper. The Knowing Your Numbers course has Cycle CPA on it. Cycle CPA is a sponsor of ours on the podcast. They are great. They go into talking about a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet in depth for our industry. And those are courses that you can take yourself or you can assign to your employees. You can also create your own courses. Think safety training courses, think, using a cutoff saw, theory or safety, video that they watch before they actually go in the field and do it. So you have some sort of documentation there that they get a certificate of completion once they finished it. It's got your company logo on it. So training courses in terms of that. We have a lot more features coming, a lot more features that are in development. And if you need something like that, How to Hardscape headquarters software is our one product. And if you want to check that out, that's at hthheadquarters.com, or you can just click the link in the show notes. That'll take you right there. Or message me at How to Hardscape on Instagram with any topics you'd want to hear on the How to Hardscape podcast, with any questions that you might have, or if you have a question about the software. Thank you for listening to today's podcast episode. Once again, thank you to anybody and everybody that joined in on that Instagram live, asked questions, engaged there. Thank you so much. And thank you to our sponsors for helping us keep the How to Hardscape podcast going. If you need bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, Cycle CPA. If you need marketing, patioseo.com. If you are looking to go to an event to help you out this season, or looking for efficiency consultants, Knowledge Tree Consulting. And if you are in need to network with industry businesses at an event coming up, HNA, Hardscape North America, Louisville, Kentucky. Use the promo code VIPHTH to get 50% off your tickets there, and that helps us as well if you do. But let's go a little bit deeper and thank our sponsor, Cycle CPA. If you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. PatioSEO.com. And now you know Patio SEO can take your hardscape business to the next level. James Reed and his expert team have built a reputation on success, not just for their own companies, but for hundreds of others just like yours. So don't wait. Visit PatioSEO.com to learn more and get started. But also be sure to follow James's journey on Instagram at Road to 100Ms. That's Road to 100Ms for behind the scenes tips and insights. And I do recommend checking that out and following along to that. Ready to build your brand? Patio SEO is here to help you every step of the way. August 19th to the 20th, Knowledge Tree Consulting is having another event at Koivik. This event is in Toronto. Koivik is in Milton. I went to their event last year with Earthscape. It was awesome. I can't recommend this enough. There's going to be a link in the show notes for you to sign up for it and get 50% off your tickets today. If you're planning to go to Hardscape North America in Louisville, Kentucky, October 22nd to the 24th, you can use promo code VIPHTH to sign up, get 50% off your registration. That also gives us a little bit of a kickback and helps us here at the How to Hardscape podcast. And we look forward to meeting you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.